All right, guys, welcome in. Phil Jones, Larry Godwin with you on a delayed start to our live show today. Extra Point with Phil Jones, brought to you by Dr. Kevin Collins, the Houston Clinic. Larry, what's up, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm trying to figure. Do you still hear the music?
No, it's just finished.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know what's going on. We got all kinds of technical difficulties.
All right, guys. So if y'all can, obviously, I always like to do the ultimate test. I want to make sure you guys can hear us, you can see us, and if I'm just hearing you now, guys, if you can hear us, if you can see us, let us know. Thumbs up. I'm checking the comments now, so do let us know. All right. I do believe we are. All right. Austin A.B. Butler is checking in. What's up, buddy? Getting some of the folks here. Michael Lotta is checking in. Michael, what's up with you, man? It's been a while. Michael Baxter. Of course, we got Obadiah Farley. So we can't start until we have until we have an Obadiah Farley sighting.
That's right.
Larry, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It's been a busy day, though.
Yeah, I hear you. I got you. Definitely has, and definitely been busy on our end. But Larry, what everybody is here waiting on, and by the way, guys, we'll try to get to all of your comments tonight. You know the drill. I really expect a lot more of you to be checking in with us tonight on this show, because this has been undoubtedly the craziest week when it comes to coaching changes. And the crazy thing is the season is over. The regular season is over, but usually things will calm down for the most part. We always have a few coaching turnovers, but they kind of filter out throughout the offseason, Larry. But boy, that has not been the case from day one, when I guess what was the last championship game was done. It almost started immediately with the coaching changes, and it really has not slowed up.
Oh my gosh, man, Phil, it has been crazy wild this whole week. You know, there's a lot of movement, as people suspect, but some of the things that has occurred even after a hire has been made has just, taken the craziness to another level.
It's unbelievable, and guys, I know a lot of y'all have been keeping up with the coaching changes. We are going to try to do our best on keeping you guys, or bringing you guys up to speed on what's going on. I'm going to start with really the most recent, and I don't even know what to call it, the most recent rumor, the most recent coaching change that has been talked about today, and that is Jamie DuBose. Whether or not he is going to leave Bainbridge or not, I can tell you that before I went on the air, Coach DuBose himself, and this is what I try to do. I try to get confirmation from the coaches, because we got everybody and their brother out there now that thinks they're part of the media, throws everything against the wall, hopes some of it sticks. And I'm not talking about everybody, but there's a few of you out there. And so anyway, maybe not a few of you guys, because the folks I see in here are highly reputable. But we've got some folks that have been posting a lot of stuff. Bottom line, it looks like Jamie DeBose, again, he sent me a text. Looks like he's going to stay at Bainbridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the rumors have been rampant. They've been wide open about Jamie DeBose leaving Bainbridge, going back to where I guess it all started for him, Larry, which was at Central Phoenix City there in Alabama, where Coach Nix just stepped down to end at the end of the season. So I think that's what kind of spurned all of the rumors, Larry. I think that's what caused everything to get going.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Phil, we call it the coaching carousel silly season for a reason, right? Not just because there's a lot of openings, that kind of stuff, but whenever there's so many openings, people just jump in because of social media the way it is now, and they just throw something out there. I heard from a reliable source that this is happening, and all of a sudden it spreads like wildfire.
Well, here's what I've started to do. Okay. It's almost as if you don't at least acknowledge movement within the coaching ranks, you're going to get left now. But unless I have it on good evidence from the coach himself or someone with the program, I will simply say, based on reports, or reports indicate, multiple reports say that blank, blank, blank. And that's basically what happened with this Jamie DeBose situation, because there were multiple people reporting it. I reported that. And like I said, Jamie DeBose sent me a text. I guess it was about 5 o'clock or so, saying, hey, I'm in Bainbridge. The reports out there are fake. And I'll post something. I'll update our post on Facebook. But again, we start with the most recent situation, but certainly not all of the situations, which has to do with these coaching changes. And again, namely, Jamie DeBose looks like he's going to stay at Bainbridge. And for the folks in Bainbridge, that's a good thing. You don't want to hire a coach and have him resign on you before he coaches game one, right?
That's exactly right, man. So, and just to reiterate, Jamie DeBose is going to do great things at Bainbridge.
Yeah, I agree.
He really is.
All right, so I want to pick up now the next, and I won't say it's the next big. I'm not going to say it's the next big thing. And by the way, we got fired football coaches of Georgia that are sticking to their guns, it sounds like, on the Jamie DeBose is leaving Bainbridge thing. But
is that right?
Yeah, I just got that.
If you hear directly from the coach himself after the rumor has gotten out saying that he's staying at Bainbridge, that's usually a pretty good source.
Yeah, I'm going to stick, like I said, that's who I'm going to go with right now. All right, yeah. Jamie DeBose. So anyway, the next big thing, certainly not necessarily in the pecking order. In fact, this is probably one of the top jobs in the state. And of course, I'm talking about the Rome job.
Yeah,
Larry. We found out last week, I think it was closer to the end of last week, that John Reed was announced he was leaving Rome. And there has been much speculation about who his replacement is going to be. I'm also hearing that, and again, what I'm talking about now is coming from a very, very reputable source that is closely aligned with the Rome football program. He's in the show now, and but I'm not as far as I'll go. But if this gentleman is somebody I would trust wholeheartedly, as close to it coming from John Reed himself. Now,
wow, okay.
This gentleman tells me that they being Rome, have had their sights set on Shelton Felton.
Mm.
Now, of course, Shelton is the head coach at Valdosta. And all I'm doing is telling you what's already out there, what people are talking about. But I know that from this gentleman I'm telling you about, he has basically told me that, hey, the Rome people have targeted Coach Felton for the great job that he's done at Valdosta. Kind of like Jamie DeBose. I'm sure that the folks at Valdosta want to keep Shelton Felton. And again, this is nothing official. This is just banter that's out there. But I can tell you that the source that I have is reputable as anybody I know in the business. And he tells me that Shelton Felton is at the top of the list. Now, he's not the only one on the list, though, Larry. In fact, I'll go back to the fired coaches of Georgia. I think is what they're called. And those guys do a good job. I'm not sure who runs the site, but they do a really good job of reporting stuff. They tend to be right, one of the first people to comment. And they released, in case you guys missed it on their Twitter account, Fired Football Coaches of Georgia released a list of, I think it was about 7 to 10 names that were in line for the Rome job. And guys, there are some big time names. And again, this is coming from the Fired Football Coaches of Georgia site. It's not Phil talking. I'm just simply repeating the information. One of the names on that list was Ben Reeves of Milton.
Wow. That's a big name, Phil.
That's about as big as they get in Georgia. Okay. So, Larry, I've been doing a lot of the talking. And I'm going to get to our comments. We've got a lot of people checking into the show. I mentioned Austin A.B. Butler. What's up, Austin? Glad that you're in the show. Michael Baxter. Austin says real quick, big shoes to fill at a big program in Northwest Georgia. A lineup of coaches have been scratching and clawing for that one. Of course, he's talking about the Rome job. And I want to hear from you guys. What do y'all think? What are you hearing? We want you guys to jump in here. Be a part of the show. Let us hear from you because, again, that's what makes the show work as well as it does, hearing from you guys. But, Larry, I want to turn it over to you real quick. Let me know what you think. Have you ever seen anything as crazy as what we're witnessing in the Georgia high school football landscape of coaching?
No, really, Phil, the only thing that comes close is when several years ago, Valdosta had an opening. Yep. And, Rush was a candidate as well as people like Marquise Westbrook and one of the national name coaches from Nevada, I think.
That's right.
That year that Rush was offered the job. Now that search got kind of wild. Yep. Okay, with all the rumors that had been floating around, that kind of stuff. So that's really the only thing that even compares to what's going on now. And so when we say wild, what I'm talking about is not just the Jamie DuBose rumor, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But coaches that you thought, I thought like someone like a Byron Slack that was just solidified in the Cook County community, right? That community loves Byron Slack, and he was a great fit for that. And then all of a sudden we got the news that he's going to Brunswick. And so that took a lot of people by surprise. It really did. And so then you had the situation down in Camden County with, John Lindsay getting hired. And then a few weeks later, he suddenly resigns. And now Tucker Pruitt moves from Appleton County after only a year down to Camden County, right? So that's the kind of wild stuff that we got going all over the place. And then you got off the heels of the on-field brawl gate, I'll call it, between Brunswick and Gainesville, right? You got Josh Niblett resigning from Gainesville, going out west. And that opens up that. Then you got that creates this domino effect. And then you got the Grayson head coach, then
Santavius Bryant
of Gainesville.
Yep. Santavius Bryant. And he's going to do great things there. He's a great coach. But go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, and so now that opens up an opening for one of the prominent jobs in Georgia, and that's the head coach of the Grayson Rams. Then you got John Reed stepping down at Rome. That's another prominent position, right? And so, Phil, it's a head scratcher, man. We kind of touched on this last week where we said, we recognized that there was 55 openings last week, but we made the point, and strongly so, that there's really more than that. And what I meant by that was, these head coaching openings, if they're from prominent programs, like a Gainesville, they're going to go after, high-profile coaches like Coach Bryant, and so that's going to open up their head coaching position. So there's really, instead of 55 last week, I really pegged it more like, 70 to 75, and I don't even think we're even close to getting all the positions filled.
Well, traditionally, on an annual basis, and this has always been a mind blower for me because Georgia, as we know, is one of the top states for coaches to seek out head coaching positions because of the facilities, the quality of the players, the pay, obviously. And I probably didn't go in the right order there. In fact, you guys may
Right.
want to invert that. But you guys know what I'm saying. Georgia has got a lot of things that make it attractive to head football coaches. But at the same time, you've got a lot of coaches that exit the state, or at least exit their jobs. Most stay within the state. So it's kind of interesting, that you got Georgia being a state that attracts its head football coaches because of all the reasons I just mentioned. But you also, on the other hand, have a lot of turnover
Yeah.
within the state. Now, the thing is, a lot of coaches are usually, if they are having turnover, a lot of these coaches are doing it to better themselves. I think everybody that we just talked about, Byron Slack, he was already one of the state's highest paid coaches. But let's face it, you're going to go from a AA Cook school, which he's done a great job there, and now you're going to go to Brunswick, which is a repeat region winner, Class 5A school.
Yep.
So he's definitely upgrading himself there. You've got who else do we have? So we got Tucker Pruitt. Boy, you want to talk about a huge jump there. Tucker Pruitt going from Class AA Appling after just 1 year. Got to remember, he was at Fitzgerald before that for a long period of time. He makes the lateral move, if you will, over to Appling. Big rival there. And now this is what we talk about when you this is what we talk about when you look to better yourself. Okay. You hang in there, you climb the proverbial ladder. I did it in business before I got into sports. I was in the newspaper business, and I started out at Tifton, wound up in Atlanta. But that's what you do. You better yourself. You work your way up the ladder, and that's definitely what Tucker Pruitt has done, going from. And you got to remember, he was an assistant at both Lowndes and Valdosta, so it's not as if he is a stranger to big time 5A, 6A, 7A football. But as a head football coach, this will be his biggest job yet, going from Fitzgerald Fitzgerald and Appling, now to Camden County. I got to be honest with you. I think he's a great fit. We've lost Larry. Larry, I hope you're back in here. Let's hope Larry can get back in the feed here. But in the meantime, we're going to keep rocking and rolling here. What do you guys think? And don't worry, we're going to go over all of the potential changes. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? What are you hearing? Is there anything you're hearing that we're not talking about? By all means, guys, this is your platform. It's your chance to not just listen to me or Larry, but to talk to us and voice your opinion as well about what you have heard. Now, I put out a story earlier. Well, it was not earlier this week. It was last week. Put out a story about ranking. Who do you think has what coaching change has made the most sense? Okay. In other words, we're kind of ranking these new opportunities. And I'll say it like this. What coaching change that has taken place so far has been the better move for all parties involved? Okay. In other words, who was the top job for, there he is. Larry, you back, buddy?
Hotel Wi-Fi, man, it gets crazy sometimes. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you, man. I'm glad you're back. And by the way, so Larry, just so you all know, let me fill you in here. So while you were out, and we're going to keep talking about all of these different positions, don't worry. But Larry, I'm going to pose to you what I just posed to our viewers.
Okay.
And I actually wrote this story and posted this story at the end of last week. You guys can go and check it out at ITG Next. What of all the coaching changes that we've had, which one has been the best for not just the coach, but the program itself? In other words, which change do y'all think has worked out for everybody involved, all parties? I've certainly got my thoughts, but I want to hear what y'all have to say in terms of who came out the better for the deals that took place, more so than anybody else. What do you think, Larry? Give us your thoughts, and I want to hear from our viewers as well.
So far, what we have are probably the top three, and I'm going to kind of rank them in order. Okay. I think Bainbridge came out by far head and shoulders above everyone. They got a
What?
top notch. Are you still with me?
Yeah, yeah, you floored me there. And it's listen, nothing against Jamie DeBose, but you think that that's been the best move of all these moves so far?
Yeah, let me give you the reasoning.
Okay.
Okay. So you just think of where Bainbridge came from. Okay. They went from Coach Littleton, who did an outstanding job, won him a state championship. He goes to Tift County, and in the last couple of years, they have struggled mightily just to win a ball game, right?
Yep.
And so now, on the heels of they've had an opening for a couple of months now, and so they get a championship, not just a single championship coach, but a multiple state championship coach at Jamie DuBose's caliber. And so, one of the things that DuBose really excels in, and I know this because I have personal experience with the guy when he was at Lowndes, right? One of
Yeah.
the things that he really excels in is he is an outstanding salesman. He is going to sell that community. And remember, one of the key pillars that we talk about on the show all the time is you got to have community support, not just, butts in the seats at the stadium, but people really pitching all in on providing resources and volunteers because one of the things that if they don't have it already, that Jamie will implement pretty soon is that feeding program that we talked about that Rush had really started, right? So you
Sure.
need to have a salesman to get volunteers to show up at 5 o'clock in the morning to cook a breakfast for a team. And so he will sell that community to do those types of things. So that's the justification on why I ranked that was the number one hire. The number two hire, in my opinion, is the hire down in Camden County. For Camden to come off the heels of separation with Coach Rowland. Coach Rowland was an outstanding coach. It just didn't work out for him. It just wasn't a good fit in hindsight. But someone of the caliber of a Tucker Pruitt going down and taking over that program, because Tucker has already proven that he can win a state championship at the not the highest level, but as an offensive coordinator, he and Alan Rodemaker teamed up and won a state championship back in 2016. So he's got the pedigree, and he's done it as a head coach there as well in Fitzgerald. So that's number two. Number three is Coach Bryant moving to Gainesville, because Gainesville, with the exit of Coach Niblett, that creates a huge vacuum where you have a tremendous leader, proven state championship winner, and then to replace him with another state championship head coach, I think that's an outstanding hire too. So that's my top three.
Okay. By the way, we're getting some great feedback from our viewers today, guys. I really want to appreciate. I want to take time to thank you guys for checking out the show today. ITG Next Extra Point with Phil Jones, and we got, of course, Larry Godwin in with me today as always. All right. So before I read off y'all's comments, Henry Jones checking in. Here's another change involving a former head football coach going to Camden County. Demario Jones, a longtime assistant at Valdosta. Of course, he took the Charlton County Indians head football coaching job. He is going to be going over to Camden County to join Tucker Pruitt over there. So congratulations. Demario Jones is one of the true great guys in the sport. He's in it for all the right reasons with the kids and everything. So I wish him the best. Here's the thing we got to remember, guys, as we talk about all these coaches on the move. Okay. As one coach goes to better himself at another school, that creates an opportunity at the school he is leaving.
Yeah.
Okay. So Charlton County, I got to tell you, one of the schools known for its great history. The setting, playing there in the swamp. I've heard more high school football officials talk about as far as ultimate venues on a Friday night. I promise you, in the top 10, maybe even the top 5 high school football officials that I have spoken with throughout the years that I've covered high school football have talked about the environment, Larry, at Charlton County. And of course, It goes back to the days of the Bailey brothers, Boss and Champ, and there's a third one in there. I can't remember his name. But anyway, so you've got all these opportunities, and I got to be honest with you, they're all fantastic opportunities. I'm going to give you my number one.
Okay.
Okay, and I think it's clear cut. Now, I understand, and these are the ones that we know about. And I know that Rome is going to be a good fit for a couple of reasons. You've got schools like Rome. Gosh, when's the last time they had a losing season? You've got schools that are just if you get the right person in there, it's going to be hard not to succeed. That's what happened with Rome once they landed John Reed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was Tift County's loss. They were not able to take advantage of John Reed. They had him right there in their grasp. No need to really discuss that. It's no need to cry over spilt milk, I guess, as they say. But John Reed leaves Tift County, goes to Rome, and within a couple of years wins back-to-back state championships. Let me say this too, real quick. Austin Butler says, Boss Bailey. Yeah, I got him, brother. So it was Boss, Champ, and Austin. Who was the third one, man? That's the one I was missing. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if this is true. And again, I think it is because of the contact here. And you guys bear with me, man. My head is spinning, and I'm just trying to get all these thoughts coalesced into some kind of structure and order here. I was told that John Reed had made it clear that the next head football coach, and by the way, from what I understand, John Reed is very involved in the search for the next head football coach at Rome. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
Yeah.
He has been entrusted with the selection, the search for and procurement of the next head football coach at Rome. Part of the criteria that I understand came from John Reed was that the next head football coach at Rome will have won a state championship. So think about that when you talk about all the candidates. There's some pretty good candidates that we've talked about, but have they all won a state championship if that is indeed part of the criteria? Now,
would that knock Shelton Felton out of the running?
I think it would.
Okay.
But let me say this, and again, I'm not sure if that is a 100% qualifier. That's what I've been told. Again, very, a very good source that I have been referring to throughout this broadcast has told me that. Now, let me go back to it. My number one choice, who came out the best? Camden County.
Okay.
And here's why. Camden is kind of like Rome. What do you not have at Camden? You've got the resources. You've got the players. I mean, Jeff Herron won there for years and years and years, and he did it running the wing T, and we've talked about that, ad nauseum. So Bob Spire, a name that a lot of people forget about.
Yeah.
Larry, you and I talked a lot about, we follow Bob Spire. He's the gentleman that had the unevenable task of coming in behind Jeff Herron. Talk about big shoes to fill. Bob Spire did a very good job, and I think it goes somewhat underappreciated, the job that he did there at Camden County. Now,
yes,
the point that I'm making here is that you can win at Camden if you get the right coach, you got your act together. Bob Spire came in behind Jeff Herron. Weldon Coffey, came in. I think Coach Coffey more suited for the role he's in now, which is an administrative role. But Weldon Coffey had the head coaching job there for either 1 or 2 years at Camden County. I think John Lindsay would have made a great fit. We know that did not work out. That's part of this old craziness, by the way, isn't it? Now, having said all that, I think Tucker Pruitt is just the perfect fit. To me, he ranks number one in all of the fits, all of the coaching hires. If you start asking about what fits, does this guy fit, that guy fit, what fits at this school, what coach fits, what school fits the coach, I think it's hands down is Tucker Pruitt, okay? You've got a guy like Tucker who has been successful everywhere he has been, Larry, albeit as an assistant coach or a head coach. The guy is one of the best offensive minds in high school football. He has been able to win as an assistant. He was you got to remember, he was part of the staff, the state championship staff at Valdosta.
Yeah.
Larry, I don't know, was he part of Coach McPherson's state championship staff at Lowndes?
No, he was at Lowndes for 1 year in 2015, I believe.
Okay, I wasn't sure. So that rules that out. So, but the guy knows how to win. He knows what it takes to win. He goes to Fitzgerald, wins, I don't know how many years in a row. He leads them to state championships. He goes to Appling and had a tough job going in there. We know about the probation that they were on. They lose all the victories. They forfeit, blah blah. He goes in. Not only was he facing that, but he was losing. He was facing losing some really really good talent there at Appling County. Larry, he goes in, gets off to a slow start, and then comes back roaring back, leads Appling to a big win over their number one rival in Pierce County, and beat Cook as well. So he really did a fantastic job, albeit in just 1 year at Appling County. I think now that Tucker has got some talent, some depth to work with, and I've said this to some Camden people, man to man, you guys hit a grand slam with the hiring of Tucker Pruitt. I'd like to know what you guys think that are watching the show, guys and girls. What do you think? Tucker Pruitt going to Camden County. I think it's the number one, the best overall pick.
Yeah. So, I've got a question for you, Phil. So everything that you listed as far as qualities of why you think Pruitt going to Camden is the best hire. Okay. So why would that not apply to Bainbridge as well? Because I basically gave you almost the same identical reasons.
Well, so I'll tell you why. Because Jay Walls has been a winning, successful coach.
Yeah.
Okay. He was successful at Tift County.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, Jay Walls went to Tift County and did an exceptional job. He led them to, I think, the semifinals, if I'm not mistaken. He led them to a region, at least one region. He did a great job. Jay Walls won a state championship at Suwannee County, if I'm not mistaken. He went to Navarre, which is down in the Panhandle. Did a great job there. What I'm trying to tell you, Larry, Jay Walls is an excellent coach. I think Bainbridge, and it could very well be one of the reasons that Jeff Littleton left. Now, yes, they backed up the Brinks truck for him at Tift County, but I think part of the reason Jeff Littleton did not mind departing Bainbridge because he saw the writing on the wall. I think he saw that there was going to be a few years of levity for that school. There was going to be a few years that they were probably going to have to struggle for victories, and we have seen that indeed with the 2 years that Jay Walls was at Bainbridge. So I just think that right now it's going to be a tough road to hoe at Bainbridge for Coach Jamie DuBose. I don't think there's anything. I like Jamie DuBose. I trust him 100%. I think he's a great coach for a lot of the reasons you mentioned. I just think right now, I'm not sure that's a great fit, and I don't mean no malice intended here. It's going to be an uphill climb for Jamie DuBose, I think. And again, there's no slight on the school or the coach. I want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Yeah.
This is just all things considered, bringing all of the elements that you consider: depth, returning talent to work with, your background, blah blah blah. I just think that, again, it's not from a negative standpoint about Coach DuBose at all. None of this is negative.
I got you.
It's just that with Camden, I think there's a lot of boxes that are checked that makes that a great marriage for everybody involved.
So do you think with Pruitt going to Camden and what Camden has there as a base of talent, the only school in the county, their history, that kind of stuff, is the tipping point in your mind? The reason why you went with that choice is because now that they have the pieces in place, team, community already in place, you got the talent already in place, you got the administration support already in place, that they're ready to win now. Is that what you're saying? And DuBose is probably going to take a little while to ramp up. Yeah.
I just think that, again, like we saw with Jay Walls. Jay Walls, again, is a great coach, but he really struggled there.
Okay.
I think Jamie DuBose, Jay Walls are kind of cut from the same cloth. I think that they're both really good coaches. They got a great track record. I would have to ask, what is Jamie DuBose going to do differently than Jay Walls did? Because Jay Walls knows how to coach football. He knows how to build programs. I I just think it could be a little bit of a tough road. Now, again, that's why I don't rank that necessarily the best job of them all, because I just think that it's going to be a tough road to hoe for Coach DuBose right now, simply because of the state of the program there, or the lack of the feeder program.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's continue on, guys. Go ahead, Larry.
I think that reason is precisely why I chose Bainbridge, because of the I guess the state of the program right now is just not a good program, right? For whatever reason. I don't really know the reason, but it's obvious in the last 2 years they have really fallen on hard times, and they need a high profile, energetic, salesman-like coach like a Jamie DuBose and a Rush Probst and anybody that's charismatic. They need that kind of head coach to introduce a spark to that fuel over there to get things going. That's really why I chose it.
Stephen K. Wynn says Tucker has great support, mentorship from within his family. He does. He definitely does. Obviously, we know about his dad, Robbie. Joshua Chase Garnto. What's up, brother? Glad that you're in the show. He says Bryant to Gainesville is a good move for him. Okay, I will say this. If Tucker Pruitt to Camden is number one, I think Santavius Bryant to Gainesville is like a 1B, or maybe even a close second. Okay, great move. I agree with you, Chase. Well, that is just a great move. If you could have gotten anybody, here's the struggle, Larry, for whomever is going to be at Gainesville. Okay, Gainesville, the demographics there, very high Hispanic county, which is Hall County, and the city district of Gainesville, even higher from a percentage standpoint. Now,
that's right.
Again, I'm just telling you, that it's going to be tough to try to build a winner unless you get kids to move in, which is what Niblett was able to do. That's why Niblett had the success that he did at Gainesville. There wasn't a whole lot of local talent to win with. Larry, are you hearing me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, and guys, what do y'all think about it? I just, you look at, you got North Hall, you got East Hall. Is there a West Hall? I'm not sure, but you got, all I'm saying is there's a lot of reasons that's going to make it tough to win at Gainesville. Josh Niblett was a special cat. Okay. He knew what it took to win, and he went out and got it done. And I'm not saying Santavius Bryant, he'll be able to do it too. That's why I think the move is a fantastic move for Gainesville and Santavius Bryant. He is going to have players that want to come play for him. Okay. I promise you that. Players are going to want to come play for Santavius Bryant at Gainesville. And that's 50, 60% of the battle. You've got to have a coach that kids want to come play for you. And I think that's going to be a big plus for Santavius Bryant at Gainesville. Now, will they be able to continue the same level of success that they had under Niblett? I don't know. And you got to keep in mind, Niblett was brought there to win a state championship. He got to two of them, wasn't able to win it, but still, that's hard to do. So it's going to be real interesting, Larry, to see what happens with Santavius Bryant at Gainesville.
Sure.
Okay. Let me go through some of the other comments. Andrew Watkins, Doherty High checking in. Monroe High is looking for a new coach. There's another opportunity there, Larry, with Monroe. Bob, Brooks County, I know there's some movement there. Josh McFather seems to be happy there at Brooks. I know that Zach Grage, though, from what I'm understanding, is left or is thinking about leaving. Heading, and Vidalia has been rumored for his next stop. That's Zach Grage at Brooks County as the athletic director.
Yeah.
Getting back into the coaching ranks, Larry. Your thoughts on that?
Now, which coaches you kind of cut out on me there?
Grage, Zach Grage, AD at Brooks County. Of course, you know him well, former head coach at Lowndes.
That's an interesting move to me. Just because when Zach left Lowndes, it was my understanding that one of his heart's desires is to get into administration, the administrative side of the school system, and so he had a good fit there at Brooks County. And so, people change over time. Maybe, I guess now he wants to get back into coaching. Now, the guy can coach football. That's for sure. He falls under that Rush Probst coaching tree, right? Goes over to Thomasville, turns that program around, has a lot of success there. That's what brought him over to Lowndes County. It didn't work out at Lowndes. He goes over into the administration over in Brooks County, but now he's got the itch to get back into coaching apparently. And I think it's a fantastic hire because the guy can coach.
Gabe Garrett checking in. We'll try to get caught up on some of you guys that are checking in. Gabe Garrett, evening, guys. Toombs County checking in. Grades of Vidalia is not a done deal yet per assistant principals. It's interesting. I swear I was talking about the Vidalia deal with grades, and I just happened to stumble upon Gabe's comment. It's funny how that works. But let's see who else we got checking out the show. Guys, if you're watching the show, I know we got a lot of new people in. Hey, this is what we do. It's all about you guys commenting on the different moves that are happening. All right. Let's see here. Brooks Carter, my man Brooks. What's up, Brooks Carter? Let's see here. Brooks wants to know what's the latest on Mitchell County and Monroe. What's going on at Bainbridge? I know the story was, but what's caused all of that? What has caused all that? I guess what you're asking. Yeah, again, as I mentioned it earlier, Jamie DeBose reached out to me earlier before I went on the show, said he's in Bainbridge, which I took to mean he's staying in Bainbridge. But that's what I like is when the coaches reach out directly to me. So there you go on that. All right. What's up, Obadiah Farley, Gabe Garrett? I mentioned checking in. If you got a question, guys, let me hear from you. You got anything you want to talk about? Interesting thing will be if indeed, and I'll reach out to Zach Grage, know him well. I'll reach out to him, find out from, this is what I like to do, guys, with the contacts that I have across the state. I can cut through all the muck and go straight to the source and find out what's going on there. So, Stephen K. Wynn, Bryant back to Gainesville. So Stephen K. Wynn is offering his top three, Larry. Stephen K. Wynn says Centavius Bryant back to Gainesville, Slack to Brunswick, DeBose to Bainbridge. So it looks like Stephen K. Wynn is kind of in your group there of what he's thinking as far as his top three choices.
So, can I answer a question for someone?
Yeah, man, absolutely, Larry.
So Candace Marie is a Lowndes fan, and she's asking me a question. She said, how did DuBose, spark community help at Lowndes? I think the second question was, how did he spark community help? Okay, so that's a good question. I'm going to answer that question in general terms because I made this comment a while ago that, some programs need a charismatic coach like a Bainbridge, right? So one thing that DuBose did was, he actually got out to the community, meaning local businesses that hadn't been contributors in the past. How do I know this? I personally helped him do that. I personally introduced him to local businesses like the Winn-Dixie, like one of the doctor's offices in town, both the Winn-Dixie down in Lake Park. So there were a number of businesses that hadn't been visited by a Lowndes coach in many, many years. And so that's one way to do it. Now, the other way that a charismatic coach that comes into a community can spark a community is to basically be very, very media friendly, not just with the local newspaper or this group or that group, but DuBose would talk to anybody and everybody. And why did he do that? Because he was a salesman at heart, and the more media outlets that he went to, the more people heard him. And there was a good chance that the same people were hearing him over and over and over again. And so that's a couple of ways to do it, Candace. And so you need someone, and the word here, Phil, is a charismatic coach. And what I mean is a guy that can sell the vision of his program, right? And so whether it's DuBose or John Reed or some other guy, Tucker Pruitt is another charismatic coach. They're able to reach a community based on selling their vision to the community. So that's really all I meant. And there's a couple of reasons how they can do that right there.
Interesting comment here from John Say John. not which one it is. Post of the day, just from a comedic standpoint. John says, Niblett is in a perfect place with Neon Dion, 2 peas in a pod. Hey, Larry, you just talked about charisma.
Yeah.
Charismatic. 2 guys that are charismatic for sure. What do you think about Niblett's move to Colorado?
It's an interesting move for sure. And I think if a coach wants to advance his career, especially in terms of more money, because, he was one of the highest paid coaches in the state of Georgia. Where's he going to go from there?
Right.
And so, and Niblett is still a very young coach. And so if he wants to make a move to college, now's a great time to do it. Right. So, if he's very good friends with Deion Sanders, it seems like a good fit. I don't know how long that relationship is going to last out there because they both are type A personalities. Right. So we'll see how long it lasts. But I think it's a good step in the right direction if his goal is to become a head coach at the college level.
Greg Hackle says, hey, ITG next Georgia, Jabo Shaw will be Appling County's next coach.
If that's true, that's a good hire.
So, all right. Boy, I tell you, I love Jabo Shaw. I think he's in Dawson County now. Jabo has moved around a lot, man. I guess. And Larry, let me ask you this, and guys, I want to ask y'all as well out there. So you hear me talk about, Jabo has gotten, has had a lot of jobs. He started at Rabun County, went to Wayne County. Is that right? I believe so.
Yeah, he was in Wayne County a few years ago. Yeah.
Jabo Shaw goes from Rabun to Wayne to where else is he at? Where else would he go? Is it where he's at now? At Dawson County? Okay. So, but here's my question. So that used to kind of surprise us, coaches that get on the move. But, we're talking about Jabo Shaw. We're talking about Tucker Pruitt. We're talking about Jamie DeBose. We're talking about a lot of coaches, Byron Slack. I mean, Larry, I think that this is the new norm where coaches, doesn't matter if I guess what I'm trying to say is the days of coaches landing at their permanent home, those may be gone. Those may be things of the past.
I think so, Phil. One reason, there's several different reasons, but one reason is, it seems like the base time frame that school systems and communities are allowing their coaches
going to get something to drink. Keep talking, Larry.
To succeed may be shrinking. And we saw proof of that down in Camden County this past year, right? Where Travis Rowland goes in there, championship winning coach in the state of Florida, takes over a program that is used to winning, is given 2 years, and he's out by the end of the second year. So that creates another opening. Now, there are other reasons why, coaches are moving around more and more as well. A lot of times it's because of money. Let's just face it. Their coaches are regular people just like the rest of us, right? So they're going to chase dollars as well, especially when they read articles that come out in the AJC and Score Atlanta, ITG Next, and it basically publicizes or publishes the top 10, 15 highest paid coaches in the state of Georgia. And when you see some of these dollar figures in black and white, it says a coach is getting paid $175,000 a year here and $150K here, and you're here in small town Georgia and you're making 89, is like, oh my gosh, man, if that comes open, I'm going to take a jump and get a $30,000, $50,000 plus pay raise. So Phil, I think to answer your question, it's a culmination of things really that adds up to cause different coaches and different schools to make moves. One is the increased pressure of winning. Phil, there's always been an intense pressure in the state of Georgia, especially in South and Middle Georgia, for these high school head coaches to win, right?
Yeah, sure.
But that pressure now is at a boiling point. Why is that? Because if you noticed in the last decade, and this has really erupted in the last decade, the amount of money now that is spent on these programs, I'm not just talking about from boosters, I'm talking about the official school systems themselves, when they're spending millions and millions of dollars to upgrade facilities at the request of coaches that are coming in, right? So if you're a coach coming in and you demand a $10 million indoor facility, and you say that's going to help you win, and you don't win, you're going to be held accountable for that, right? So the intense pressure to win is being ratcheted up even more. And then the dollars that's being thrown at head coaches now, I think all that combination is driving. Now, there's one other factor, Phil, that no one's really talking about. Really is the era of the mobile athlete. Okay, we're seeing an explosion of kids and families that are even more highly mobile than they have ever been. And so when you have kids transferring from school to school to schools, that means that the natural talent cycle is not allowed to run its course at a program. And so coaches like predictability like everybody else. So if you're a head coach and you can't really rely on the predictability of your talent cycle because of these transient student athletes and their families, yeah, they're going to chase talent wherever that talent shows up, right?
Yeah.
And so those three factors, I think, are contributing to a lot of coaching moves nowadays.
Gotcha. And by the way, we've talked about this a good bit. So, there are a lot of different things that coaches you mentioned that they're asking for. The facility upgrades, the upgrades, and when I say that, that's including the weight rooms.
Yeah,
we're starting to see big money being put into new revamped weight rooms, nutrition program. We've talked about that a lot. The indoor practice facility. And let's talk about and move forward with a coach who we haven't yet talked about, but certainly has been part of the discussion in all of these coaching changes, and that's Rush Probst. Now, listen, I'm not here to ask whether you like the guy or not. That's a different discussion for a different day. What I am here to talk about is the fact that his name has been bantered around as much as any other candidates.
Yeah.
Of all of these jobs, okay? And if you guys remember, some of you may not, and you may not have seen it, but Rush, in a story, an interview that I had with Rush after the state championship, that he brought home to Coosa Christian in Alabama
Yeah.
around the holidays, I did the story on Rush where Rush, and we had a lot of people, media outlets across the state and really across the South that picked up my story and was talking about where Rush said, look, I want to go to a program and build a national brand, Larry, just like he did at Colquitt, right?
Yeah, right.
So look, schools now, and we're talking about, what it takes to win. And if you want to win, okay, you need to take a serious look. You need to put aside all the preconceived notions about Rush this and Rush that. Look, Rush is getting older. He's getting wiser. We all do.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And I'm telling you, I think somebody needs to take a serious look at Rush. I know that Rush's name has been brought up in the Rome search. Now, is that going to pan out to anything? I don't know. I do know that Rush has some serious conversations with the Bainbridge people. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my headphones on. Talk to me, Larry.
Yeah. So do you think that that one of these schools in the very near future is going to surprise us all by announcing Rush Probst as their head coach?
100%. Because again, it goes back to what you were just talking about, Larry. You want to win. You want to build the new facility. You want to build, put money into your nutrition program. You want to, I don't know, give me another criteria. Who was it that introduced all those things? Primarily, it was Rush Probst. Yeah. It was Rush who came up with all that at Colquitt County. You guys got to remember, some of you have probably grown up knowing Colquitt County is nothing but a winner. And I'm talking about one of the state's strongest programs. Larry, you and I grew up watching Colquitt County as a program meandering about in mediocrity. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, this was Colquitt, and I'm not dissing on Colquitt. I'm just telling you the before and after. But there was before Rush, after Rush. Before Rush
Yeah.
was an isolated region title every now and then, 6-4, 7-3, 5-5. That was Colquitt County. Okay. Them, Tiff County, kind of along in the same ballpark. Rush comes in and everything changes, guys. Do y'all understand that? Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? Everything changed. And his legacy lives on, albeit through new coaches. I say all that to say, look, you want your program to become the next Colquitt County? Sure you do. So that's why schools need to take a serious look at Rush.
Phil, I think whether it's Rush or someone else, in every industry there's usually a disruptor. I'm not talking about necessarily a person, but something disrupts an industry that forces it to change. For example, I mean, this is not football related. For example, yet a couple decades ago when the iPhone was introduced, that was a disruptor to the telecommunications industry.
That's
right? It changed the way everybody did things. Rush Probst changed the way high school football is played in the state of Georgia. He was a disruptor to the high school football industry in Georgia. And people followed his lead, and his legacy is still being followed to this day, even if we don't like to admit it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rush has been in the conversations with Cook High School, which I think would be a good fit. All right, let's talk about, so let's move on from Rush. Well, we don't have to move on from Rush, but I just want to get some other candidates in here. Another name that I am hearing is Ashley Henderson.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Well, you got to consider, Ashley was a winner at Valwood. Brought him a couple of state championships. They played for more. Now, I know that Ashley, we talked about, has been much aligned. Ashley run into a tough situation at Thomas County Central. Okay. We all know that happened, and I'm not going to rehash that. But Ashley has proven that he's a winner. And guys, if y'all haven't heard and you're not aware, Ashley Henderson went up to Jasper County. Wait a minute. Is it Monticello, Georgia, Jasper County? They did not have a winning football program, I think, in I don't know how many years, for a long time. Ashley Henderson has brought them back from the brink. And that program actually, I think, went to the second round of the state playoffs, which is huge for them. So that community is excited about having Ashley. Now, by doing that, though, Ashley has got himself a reputation for taking programs and building them into a winner, which he did at Jasper. That program is so maligned that they didn't even know what to call themselves. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They didn't know whether to call themselves Monticello or Jasper County. And I'm not exaggerating. Okay. So the point being that when you have no identity, you have no, path forward. Ashley Henderson came in and corrected all that, got those kids playing football, got the kids out of the halls. So he's doing a great job. Ashley Henderson would be a great fit for a school. Now, I can tell you that Ashley has received some interest in some South Georgia schools, some of which we have talked about already. Now, whether he will come back and entertain any of these schools remains to be seen. But I can tell you that's a hot name right now in the world of high school football coaching. Ashley Henderson.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that, by the way? And again, guys,
so
don't get negative on me. I know some of you Thomas County Central folks want to get negative with Ashley. Let's don't do that, okay? That's not what this is for. That's water under the bridge, man. Ashley has done a good job at rebuilding Monticello. So want to hear your thoughts on maybe him being able to come back.
So, Phil, Ricky Edlin Shepard has an interesting comment that's worth noting. Okay. He says hire more younger and proven assistant coaches.
Absolutely.
They would be He says they would be more loyal to the program. Too many older veteran coaches are dominating the hires. Most of these coaches have had numerous head coaching jobs, some in multiple states. He's got a point. I don't disagree with his
premise. I hear a butt coming here,
but I do disagree with the loyalty part, right? When it comes to there is no difference between younger coaches and veteran head coaches as far as assistants goes in the context of everybody wants to improve their career, right? Yeah. So let me give you an example. If an assistant coach were to become a head coach, let's say at let's just pick a school, Irwin County. I don't really know why I picked that name. I just picked it. Yeah. Okay. And they so assistant coach goes from making a teaching salary plus a stipend for being an assistant coach, and he's making $75,000 a year, and all of a sudden becomes a head coach at Irwin County and makes $110,000. That's a major upgrade in his salary, right?
Sure.
But if he's a young coach, meaning younger in my mind is anybody that's 35 or younger.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty young. So they're still pretty young, and they're still career climbing, if you will. So you're telling me that a coach that goes to Irwin making $110,000, all of a sudden a job comes open at Carrollton and that's paying $175, that dude is not going to, if he's a really good coach anyway, is not interested in applying for that job. So there's loyalty only goes so far.
Agree.
Right. So that's the only thing that I disagree with him on, because especially younger coaches, they're still career climbing and they're always looking for opportunities.
Okay, so let me address that. So, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight. So, think of the number of coaches that are successful now, Larry, and to you guys, who only are successful because they were given a chance at one time as an assistant coach, right? Larry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were given a chance, but I think it goes back to what you were talking about earlier. Teams are looking for the proven winner. Why is that? Because they want to win now. Okay. We don't want to take a chance on the unproven assistant coach. Somebody says Rush would be a good fit at Appling County. I don't know about that. I don't know, Stephen, but I hear what you're saying. But anyway, I think schools, the reason that they're not hiring or looking to hire a lot of the assistants, Larry, is they're looking for the proven winner. They want to hire somebody who has been there, done that. That's my opinion. But I think that's, I do think there's evidence to point to that and to support that.
Yeah.
You agree?
I do. I 100% agree with what you just said.
Okay.
So listen, this is a phenomenal conversation, and it really needs to be had. It's only going to get better probably next week and the weeks coming, because it sounds like there's going to be some great hires that are imminent, right? The Appling County coach, the Vidalia head coaching job, and others. Is just the Cook County job is a very desirable job, right? So all those hires are probably going to be made in the next week or two. So guys, if you like tonight's show, tune in next week as well, because it'll be just
Larry. Now I know you've got to go, right?
I do. I've got, I'm on a business trip, and I'm meeting some folks for dinner.
Is there
tonight.
any way I want to continue the show? Is there any way for me to continue here?
Yeah, I suppose. So what I'm going to do, guys, what you're about to hear is some behind the scenes stuff. So you just have to ignore it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is remove myself from the camera and continue to monitor the show during my dinner. Right. And as soon as you're ready to go, I'll hit the end stream button.
Okay, Larry, I appreciate that.
Okay, man. Hey, it was a pleasure joining you guys this week. I'll see you guys on next week.
And thank you, Larry. Love having you, brother. Really do, man. You made a big difference to the show. I hate you got to go, but I understand you got to meet some of your cohorts and do some networking. for all of you, stay with me because we're going to keep going here. Me and you and a dog named Blue. So, all right. So let me again want to hear from your comments. So it's just you and I now, guys. So you guys have got to take up the slack from Larry because we were late going on the air today. Going to take this thing to probably about 7:10 or 7:15. So we got plenty of time left to talk, and gosh knows there is a lot still to talk about. So let's do this thing. Let's make it happen. All right, to try to recap here. So the jobs that are open, you've got Cook that's still open. Who do you think would be a good fit for Cook? And you guys help me out here because I'm kind of going through this thing. I don't have any notes. All right, so you've got you've got Zach Grage rumored to go to Vidalia. I think Zach Grage is ready to get back into the coaching. He's ready to get back on the sidelines. Look, Zach Grage wanted to be an administrator when he left Lowndes. We all know what happened there. He's got that taste for being an administrator. He's always got that role on his resume, but he wants to get back on the sideline. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. If indeed Zach wants to get back into coaching, if it's Vidalia, that's great. But Zach Grage would make a fantastic coach for anybody. The guy can coach. He proved that at Thomasville. Okay. He would have done great things at Lowndes. We'll never know. One of those things. Don't want to rehash it. But Zach Grage, great coach. And I think he's going to do great things. Calvin McGort is watching the show. Calvin, what's up, my man? So glad that you were able to check out the show today. All right, we'll try to get some comments going on here. Obadiah Farley. I wasn't here for his coaching season, but looking at the comments, there's nothing negative against Coach Henderson. No, but there has been before when I brought up Coach Henderson's name as a top flight. That's why I mentioned that Obadiah before. There's been a lot of people that have said negative stuff about him, and I just wanted to kind of hit that off. Jose Padilla, what's up, my man? Jose says, just me saying this, but it won't be longer until some assistant staff from TCC to be like. That is a great point. That's a great point you make, Jose. I'm surprised that somebody has not rated Justin Rogers' staff. Because, man, listen, Rogers is a fantastic coach. Goes without saying. He's won everywhere he's been. But, man, we all know that with the success of the Thomas County Central football program, you've got some great assistants on that staff. Just the way it is. I mean, like I said, Rogers is he's got guys, that he's delegating stuff to. Okay, that's what makes a very good head football coach or a business leader, whatever it is, being able to delegate, different responsibilities. He has been able to do that. Why do I bring that up? Because a lot of the success that Thomas County Central has had, while it ultimately lies at Justin Rogers' feet, the buck stops here. It literally does with Coach Rogers. But having said that, you've got to realize that a lot of these assistants are kind of running the show for Coach Rogers. And again, that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, if you're a football coach, head football coach, and you're having to run everything, you're not doing a very good job. So I think that is surprising to me, Jose, that we haven't heard more movement from assistants at Thomas County Central so far. But I think you're right, Jose. I think that's probably about to change. So we'll definitely see. Great point, though, Jose, for sure. Toby Passmore says these young coaches need to be willing to cut their teeth at smaller, challenging schools. That's a great point, Toby. You're absolutely right. If you're at a bigger school, you need to learn to go down to some of the smaller schools and be able to, to cut your teeth, as you said, earn your stripes, right? At some of the smaller schools. Agree with you 100%. Travis Hart, some assistant coaches are the reason the head coach is good. That's interesting. I was just talking about that, right? Seeing what else you guys have got to say. Alan Clanton, Ashley Henderson would have my vote at Cook. Yeah, I think I think Ashley would do a great job. I can tell you that there has been interest in Ashley at Cook in the past. Now, I'm not saying that's still the case. I don't know why it would not be. They had interest in him at one time, but they did. There was some interest in Ashley back before he took the head coaching job at Jasper County. Okay, so I think he would be a great one. Wayne Hall says Grade's going to do great things wherever he goes. I agree with that 100%. Let's see here what we got. So here's a good one. Danny Britt, Stephen K. Wynn brings something out of left field, and I like it a lot. Stephen K. Wynn says, what about Danny Britt to Rome? I like that. Now, I think Danny Britt is perfectly happy at Benedictine. I don't know why he would want to leave. But he would be great for Rome. So see, here's the situation. Now, so let me ask you guys this. All right, we just talked about entrusting assistants, giving them the keys to the Mercedes, so to speak. Do you want to do that, though, in a program like Rome? In other words, are there different criteria? Is there a different approach with a program like a Rome, a bigger school, a bigger established school? Do you go out and take a chance on an assistant coach with a job like Rome, or do you go for the proven winner, the proven leader? And I think most of us are on the same page. You want to get a trusted winner. You don't want to put say a third or fourth year assistant coach on a head coaching job like Rome. Okay, so and again, I think it goes without saying, right? Marietta is watching the show today. What's up, my man? Marietta Blue Devils, one of their biggest fans outside of my man Rosser Sutherland. Travis Hart brings a name out of the past. Travis Hart asks, what about Alan Rodemaker? Guys, where is Coach Rod at now? I have no idea. Well, where's Coach? Does anybody know where Alan Rodemaker's at? Interesting. Very interesting. I thought Robbie Pruitt would be coming back to Georgia. Of course, we know that Robbie Pruitt took the job at Union County, kind of where it all started for him. He's come full circle. Man, you want to talk about a heck of a football coach. But Robbie Pruitt could have made his way back to Georgia and eventually made his way back into Florida, where he's had some success there, obviously. Kerry Claiborne is in the house. Kerry, I don't know how long you've been in here, my man, but Kerry Claiborne says, go Wolves. Kerry, I almost wore my Buford pullover earlier. I had it laid out. Just forgot to put it on and grab something else. I love it. Kerry Claiborne says, is now a good time to remind the viewers that Buford is the national champion. Dun, 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 dun. By the way, when is the national championship? Is that tonight? Do they play for that tonight? Look at Larry. Larry has just popped up in the cowboy outfit. I love it. LG. It is the what do you call it? It's the AI generated. LG, I love it. Absolutely love it. Love having Larry, by the way, with me co-hosting the show. Man, we have a great time. Sorry that he had to go early, but Larry is he's in somewhere on business. It's all good. Jose Padilla, I think, says exactly what I was talking about. Jose Padilla says Coach Henderson will be a good fit at Cook. I just think it didn't work out at TCC, but he's still a great coach. Well put, Jose. Very classy there, buddy, for sure. Alan Clanton. Okay, he's responding to Kerry Claiborne's about reminding people about about Buford. Kelly Fountain, big Rome fan. Coach Phil hire Wayne Groves at Rome. Got to be honest with you. I shared this with somebody else earlier today. Guys, Wayne Groves would be the ultimate choice to replace John Reed. And I don't know why that has not materialized at least into something more substantive than what we have heard so far. And I'm not saying that, obviously there's been some great names and candidates thrown out there already. But why would that to me is that's like a hand fitting a glove. Wayne Grove, great guy, great coach. Yeah, I think he's been a long time assistant at Rome, right? Now I know he went to Darlington. That's the school, the private school there in Rome. Great school, by the way. Fantastic football program. Fantastic sports program. I mean, that's high end, man. And I don't mean money necessarily, even though it is. But Darlington is class. It's got great athletes, great facilities, great sports programs. I mean, and I'm sure that Wayne is happy. But Wayne Groves a lot of history with Coach Reed and Rome. So we'll be very interested to see if they actually offer him an interview. Okay. Great to hear from you, Kelly Fountain. Eddie B. Dassey. Eddie Dassey. They saying DeBose not going to Bainbridge. He's heading to Phoenix City. Is that true? Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, I actually got a text from Coach DeBose saying he's staying at Bainbridge. So I will go in and correct the graphic. But when a coach tells you that he's not leaving, then I go with that. Okay. But boy, let me say this. There has been a lot of stuff. And I'm going to toot our own horn here for a second. Guys, I have got a great relationship with a lot of coaches in this state. I'm just telling you like it is, guys. I mean, yeah, it's just true. It's true. And I have earned the trust of a lot of coaches. So a lot of what we post, we may not get there first. Okay. And I know that's important to some people out there. Who got the story first? Well, I don't care who got the story first. I want it to be right. Now, it looks like, though, in the haste of trying to get, the news about Jamie DeBose supposedly going to Phoenix City, Jamie DeBose responded to me, and I like to go with what coaches obviously tell me. That's usually how I like to do things in the first place. If they don't, what I will do is I will phrase a post with reports are, not that we are reporting it, but we are simply going with previous reports from whomever. And I do like to give credit if I can. Yeah, if it's multiple places that have put out, and that's what happens. You've got everybody and their brother that's putting out information. So instead of trying to figure out who was it that had it first and giving them exclusivity, I just say, look, based on recent reports, such and such a coach is no longer at that particular school. So I think that's what happened here in that case. But anyway, all right. So it looks like right now Jimmy DeBose is staying at Bainbridge. All right, let's talk about the jobs that are open. So Cook remains open. Grayson remains open. Guys, there's some really good jobs open. Now, Grayson, I think the issue there is going to be the compensation. Grayson is not, despite being an absolute powerhouse, Grayson does not pay that well. Okay. So I say pay that well. You're making what, 80 grand, I think, somewhere around there. But obviously, you've got coaches that are making well over 100 grand, even at some of the smaller schools. Okay. So have to take that into consideration when you're looking at a potential candidate for Grayson. And who would that be? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm surprised we haven't heard more in the way of candidates for the Grayson job. Again, I know that it's not the best paying job. In fact, it might be, of all the jobs that are open, it might be, and I'm sure it is, one of the one of the lowest paying jobs, I guess is the way to put it. But however, though, listen to me. There's always give and take. You go to Grayson, just like Jeff Herron, Adam Carter, okay, Santavius Bryant, they all proved that you can build a winner at Grayson High School. So you go to a school, may not be the money that you're looking for, the top dollars job, but you are going to be looking at a great opportunity to win a state championship. That's the give and take here for a job like Grayson. Thanks so much for Dr. Kevin Collins, the Houston Clinic, sponsors our show. He's been a long-time sponsor of my show, and I do appreciate him very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Collins. Dr. Kevin Collins, Houston Clinic. Guys, there's nobody better in the business when it comes to orthopedic surgery. I can promise you that. And we are glad to have a great relationship with Dr. Collins. All right. Again, looking for your comments. Oh, Alan Clanton says, I might be wrong, but I think Rodemaker actually retired. I would like to know that if anybody knows about that. And guys, what do the Valdosta people think about the talk of your coach possibly, reportedly, allegedly have an interest in the Rome job? Listen, you got to remember too, there are other reasons why coaches want to leave. A lot of it has to do with family. Sometimes family wants to be closer to family. And I'm talking about not just the coach, but the spouse. Okay. So that could be a part of just a lot of different factors that go into why coaches want to leave. A lot of times it's not necessarily being unhappy at the school. Just got to remember that. Okay. Luke Nelson. Luke, I don't know how I missed you, man. Big Buford is in the house. Luke Nelson. He is the man of the hour. What is up, Luke Nelson, a.k.a. Big Buford? By the way, congratulations to your son, Kanan Nelson. Guys, for those of you who don't know, Kanan Nelson, big-time linebacker for Buford, just helping those guys win a state championship. And now he goes right back into wrestling and had his first pin, I think, of the year on Saturday. So congratulations to Kanan Nelson, for sure, buddy. Gotta love that. Also, something else I want to talk about real quick. While we're talking football, and we always will, I want to let you guys know, we are now doing our top 10 performers for high school basketball, boys and girls. We're also doing updated polls for boys and girls wrestling. Okay. And from the sounds of it, I missed one in the girls' top 15 wrestling programs. I missed Gainesville. So my bad. I will be honest with you. Wrestling is not my forte, high school wrestling, but we will get there. By all means, let me have more of those type of comments on who we should watch for. Now, one of the things we're doing is top 10 performers every week for Georgia high school boys basketball and girls basketball. So if you've got a high school basketball player that you would like for us to consider for recognition, send it to me or send it to our info website, or email address, I should say. I think it's info@itgnext. You can send it to me, phil@itgnext.com. If you have a basketball player, girls, boys, okay, let us know who's out there that deserves to be recognized, okay, for sure. And we'll certainly put the word out about them. Ricky Evelyn Shepard. I don't think this was mentioned earlier. It seemed like I want to say that somebody, maybe Larry read this comment earlier, but whatever. Ricky Evelyn Shepard. Coach Littleton was an assistant coach before he came to Bainbridge. I don't believe that he had ever been a head coach. How about that? There you go. So Ricky Evelyn Shepard, that's what I'm talking about. You've got to at some point give a chance to an assistant coach. Otherwise, they'll never know if they could have been a winner or not. But he definitely is turning into a winner now. I tell you, Tift County is glad to have him. Big time player. And big time coach, I should say. Evan Reese. Now, here's a good one. I like this, Evan. You hit a home run, buddy. Evan Reese says, I know John Ford is at Effingham, but with the talent at Rome, I feel like he would be a good fit. Evan, what a great post, dude. Well done, my man. Evan Reese comes up with a bases clearing double. To borrow from some baseball vernacular, right? Cannot believe that no one has thrown out John Ford's name. John Ford coached for 1 year, I believe it was, at Buford. Not sure. I don't think he won a state championship, but the guy's a great coach. He's done a lot of great things over at Effingham. That's interesting. John Ford, head coach at Effingham. What a football, or what a great football coach John Ford is. That's a great one there, Evan Reese. Way to go, brother. Jerry Harrison checking in. What's up, Phil? What's up, Jerry? Everything cool in Monroe area, by the way. Wayne Hall says championship's on January 19th. Gotcha. So I guess that's a week from tonight, right? Jose Padilla said that Larry Good at LG looked like a young Alan Jackson. I don't know about that. Guitars, Cadillacs. Oh, wait, that's Dwight Yoakam, isn't it? Wrong country guy. Hillbilly music. All right. That's about all the country you're going to get from me because that's about all I know. Not a country guy. I'm a rock and roll guy. What's up, Ren Estes? Also corrected me on the national championship. All right. Jose Padilla. That's what's happening at TCC. Man, the facility upgraded to TCC is, and this is where it's going, guys. I'm telling you that this is what you're going to have to do to stay ahead of the game. Literally, you have to stay ahead of the game with these facilities, upgrading these facilities. By the way, and I know this is not high school related, but can you guys believe what Indiana has done in college football? And do you guys know why Indiana has suddenly crept up and became a winner? Do you guys know? NIL. NIL has leveled the playing field in college football. Used to be where, kids would go to certain schools, right? They'd have the 1 or 2 year thing where kids would get a scholarship to a certain school and it'd take them a couple of years to break in. Well, let me tell you what's happening now. How did Indiana come out of nowhere? Do y'all know how bad Indiana was not long ago? Indiana was bad, like really bad. And lo and behold, here they are. They have rebuilt themselves and they are as strong as ever. So, Indiana, again, it's the NIL has leveled the playing field for college football and has enabled teams like Indiana now to become relevant. All right. Travis Hart says the head coach for Indiana is from the Saving Tree as well. Cristobal, as well as Cristobal. Yep, absolutely. That's a good point. Deshaun Suggs, what's up, my man? Good evening, Phil. How's things going? It's going great, Deshaun. Hey, Deshaun, don't forget about me at Carver Columbus with that video we want to do, my man. Please help me out if you can. Stephen K. Wynn, yes, Signetti, transfer portal. Then NIL, yeah, well, transfer portal certainly is part of it, but you got to have a reason for these kids to want to come to school, even if it is by the transfer portal. You got to have a reason to want to go there. And when your school has a big collective, that's obviously going to be attractive. I mean, again, you can have transfer portals all day, but if there's nothing attractive about wanting to go to Indiana, well, doesn't really matter. So you got to have something that draws these players in. That's the difference that NIL has made. Gabe Garrett, Indiana's average team age is older than Green Bay Packers. They should be playing good. That's interesting. I did not know that. That's rather interesting. Hey, whatever works, right? TJ Roberts says, yeah, Indiana was 2-10 2 years ago. I love it. I love these turnarounds like that. Absolutely fantastic. All right, guys. So, again, looking at coaching the turnovers, who has gotten the best deal of these coaching turnovers? And I got about 3-4 minutes left to go on the show. Going to wrap things up here. We'll call it 5 minutes. So we'll end with this. Is Rush going to come to Georgia? I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Okay. So the jobs that we have open as of this moment, you guys help me out here. Is it Cook? It's Appling. We know that Irwin got filled. By the way, Irwin's going to be a situation to really watch out for, guys. Was that the former Swainsboro coach that got the job at Irwin, Scott Roberts? Man, the guy was a killer at Swainsboro. I think he's coached at Irwin before, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, good fit. That's another really good fit for Irwin County. But it's going to be interesting to see, guys, if they're able to pull out of what happened to them last year, which was because of, from what I understand, they did away with the rec football program in Ocilla. If that is true, you have killed what basically affords the like the lower school development, the feeder system at Irwin County. If that's true, what I heard, and somebody did tell me that they had done away with their rec football program in Ocilla, I guess lack of funding. If that's true, then that's going to be a dagger. Okay. And that could already be leading to some of the fallout they've had at Irwin. Irwin County was a true blue blood football program. I don't care about the size of the school. They were a blue blood, which meant they won year in and year out. They didn't just win, they dominated year in and year out. And now here's Irwin County struggling this past year. And I could see this coming. I mean, they lost everybody from the previous year. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Scott Roberts taking over at Irwin County. See if he can get those guys back up and going. All right, guys, we're going to wrap things up. I want to thank all of you for checking out the show tonight. We had an absolute blast. I may do what's called an emergency pod. I may do a show coming back on maybe Thursday or Friday and see if we can update some of these coaching changes that are taking place. So I will let you know. Be sure to check out my Twitter, Facebook page, the ITG Next Facebook and Twitter page. Check out all of our social media. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with any kind of impromptu podcast to keep you guys up to speed on the latest coaching changes. They're happening fast, guys. ITG Next is going to be your go-to source for the latest and the most up-to-date information on who lands where as far as coaching changes go. Thanks so much for being a part of the show tonight. We will talk to y'all guys soon. Be sure to keep it at ITG Next. Keep checking back. Like us. Share the page. Be sure to follow us on all of our platforms at ITG Next. Until next time, whenever that's going to be, you guys have a great week.